The second feasibility test we're going to look at is economic feasibility. This one's probably the most straightforward to understand. And we'll have a look at, first of all, what an economic feasibility test is, why you would do one, and how you would conduct one. And we're going to focus on the cost of development and the resources that you're going to require for each solution, material and human. Let's start off by answering the question, what is an economic feasibility test? The fundamental question is, can the bottom line be quantified? People talk about the bottom line. The bottom line was a phrase coined in the 60s in America. And the bottom line refers to the very bottom line of a profit and loss account to show whether a company is making a profit or a loss. And in this instance, the bottom line means the cost. What's it going to cost in terms of hard cash? The idea is that very early in the project, and in this case before you start making the project, you can reach some kind of a judgment on whether it's actually worth going ahead with it. Is it worth solving this problem financially? Obviously, once you've got the requirements, you've found from the customer what he wants, and you've identified the solution, you've worked out how you're going to solve it, it's at this point that the costs can actually be identified and the cost of each alternative that you have suggested. Why do one? Well, that's fairly obvious, isn't it? You do the cost-benefit analysis because you can answer questions such as, is the project justified? Do the benefits outweigh the cost? And it is that cost versus benefit equation that you're looking at. That's the simple sum. Is what you're going to spend worth it for what you get out of it? Another question is, what is the least amount of money that you need to spend to actually achieve a working system? And that's something else that if you're a client, you're going to want to know what's the least that I can spend to get what I'm looking for. We can look at more expensive options, but what is the very least that I've got to spend to get this thing working? Moving on from that, how do you do an economic feasibility test? Well, first of all, you work out the costs and you add all those costs together and you go one by one through all of the different sorts of costs and you add them all up, and the different sorts of costs for the different solutions that you've proposed. So you work out the material and the human costs, such as hardware, software, labour, manpower, likely to be a high cost, although this project does involve technology, and technology is expensive. Even mature technology is expensive. Are there any monthly costs? So you will need to go through with a fine-tooth comb all of the expenditure required to bring this product to market. And as part of the cost-benefit analysis, you will need to consider how soon will it be the client will start to reap the rewards of the product that you're bringing to market on his behalf. Which of the alternatives that you suggest is going to offer the best return on his investment? And which of these alternative products is going to bring the benefits more quickly? You might not be able to answer all of these questions, but you should be able to answer some of them. Ultimately, is this product financially viable? And even more importantly, does it come within budget? Because if it doesn't, there's no point in doing it. And again, that little question, do you know what his budget is? Because if you haven't asked by now, that would be quite ridiculous. And you need to make a recommendation on the different options that you've put on the table, the different suggestions that you've made for the solution. Think about making a recommendation for what you feel is going to be best for this business.